In this video, I'm going to talk about how to slap. Slapper is somebody on the left side who can run from home to first in about 2.7 seconds to 2.9 seconds. Being on the left side gives us an advantage because we're a couple steps closer to first base. For beginners, I recommend starting with hitting ground balls to the left side. We want to aim for the left side of the field because that's the furthest position away from first base. So let's start with how we set up. I prefer to start and more in the back of the box because when I take my crossover, I need to make sure that my crossover foot stays in the box. If I set up in the front of the box or even in the middle of the plate, when I take my crossover step, I might be out of the box and then I'm going to be called out. To my knowledge, some sanctions are a little bit different with their rules. So for the sake of the video, we are going to make sure that when we take our steps, our whole entire foot is in. When I played, I was able to have some of my foot out of the box as long as part of it was in the box. Now the rule is, and again, it depends on the sanction, that we have to have the entire foot in the box. So our foot can be on the line, that's fine. We just can't have any part of the foot over the line. So I'm going to start more in the back of the box. Now, pitcher starts her motion. When the pitcher gets back here, or when she gets here, we want that to be our indicator to start. So for me, and there's a couple of different ways to do this, I prefer to start to shift my weight onto this back side. I prefer to shift just a little bit because this starting motion helps me get my rhythm and helps me keep a good tempo through the box. You know, everyone's going to be different with what they do. I've seen some slappers just stay right here and then they start. Regardless, when the pitcher is back, that's going to be your indicator that it's time to go forward. When the pitcher is about right here, before she comes down and around, we're going to start our movement forward. So when you're doing this, you want to go nice and slow. You don't want to be sprinting through the box. You want a good tempo. And I know we think because we're running through the box, we need to go 100 miles an hour. You don't want to go too slow, but you also don't want to go too fast because you want to be in control. You also want to be able to sit back if that pitcher throws a changeup. So what I like to do when the pitcher is about right here before she comes down and around, I like to take this front foot and bring it in just a step. So just one step, and then I'm gonna be crossing over with my left foot. Another way I've seen slappers do it is they won't even move this front foot. They'll just shift their weight and then they'll just cross over with their left foot. The other way that I see that's pretty common is slappers will take this front foot and they'll step back just a small step and then cross over. So if you step, my advice would be don't step all the way back to this back foot and then try and go because you're losing ground. We want to gain some ground and get to first base fast. So I feel when we do this, we're losing ground. And another reason I don't love stepping back all the way, because when I see slappers do that, they're usually opening up too soon. Once I start my movement forward, after that, it should be all one motion. So I shouldn't be stopping. So if you find yourself starting, loading, pausing, crossing over, pausing, and then making contact, your timing's off. So this should be all one motion. So when I start my movement forward, so after I load and when I start to move forward, so about right here, I don't want to stop because again, I need to get all of my momentum going to first base. So now that we know when to start our motion forward, let's talk about the next step, and that's going to be what we need to be doing with this crossover foot. Now, I don't have a line out here because the field isn't lined, but I just want you to imagine that my toes are right on the chalk line. Common thing with slappers is they're stepping over the line and they're being called out. So if that's the case, what I like to do, instead of being, and let's say the line is right here, instead of being toes starting on the line and then crossing over, what I prefer to do is take a small step back. And then when I cross over with my left foot, I'm crossing in and my toes are going to be on the line. And I know a lot of slappers will say, I don't want to start back because I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to touch the outside corner. You will if you step in. So think about it. So this is the line right here. If I start super close to the line, my left foot is hitting here. So hitting right there. If I take a step back and then I step in, my foot is hitting in the same exact spot. I just prefer this. One, it's going to help me stay in the box, but two, I'm now in a staggered stance with my feet. To me, I have really good balance and I'm strong here. If I start really close to the line and I cross over, my feet are in a straight line, I don't feel I have good balance. So I'm going to be taking a half step back. When I go to cross over, my left foot is getting down right by the line. When I land with this left foot, my toes should be pointing towards the shortstop along with my chest and my hips. I need my body facing towards the left side of the field because I need that ball to go to the left side of the field. If I cross over and I'm open, that ball is going to go to the right side of the field, and that's too easy for the defense. So really make sure when you are down with this left foot, toes, hips, chest, left side of the field. So now that my left foot is down, I also need to make sure that my hands are staying back. If I step and if I bring my hands in, I'm losing a lot of power if I eventually want to hit the ball really hard. And it's the same thing like when you're standing in. When you get your front foot down, your hands should still be back when your hips start to go. So when you take your crossover, your hands need to be back before you fire. As I'm starting to go to the ball, you're essentially going to be swinging off of one foot, which is your left foot. So as you are going to the ball, you are going to be balanced on this left foot, and your right foot's going to be lingering right above the ground. Once you start going to the ball, it's your hands that are going to the ball as you're going up on one foot, and then your barrel is going to enter the zone. And then when you get to contact, your barrel is going to be making contact right on top of the ball. Remember, we want to hit ground balls, so we need this ball to go straight down. You also want to think about where you want to make contact with this ball. So every slapper is going to be a little bit different. Me personally, what I preferred if I was hitting ground ball, I prefer to get my left foot down, and then when I make contact, that ball is going to be slightly in front of my left foot. I prefer this because I feel that I'm able to dictate where the ball goes. If I let the ball travel even with my body and try and hit a ground ball, I just personally felt like I was late and I was always hitting it to the third baseman, which again is too easy. I want to really aim for that 5-6 hole because that's the hardest spot for the defenders to defend. If I let this ball be right in front of my front foot at contact, I'm able to get that ball in that 5-6 hole. So when I'm at contact, I'm going to be making contact on top of the ball. The other thing is I want my hands to be slightly in front of my barrel. The reason for that, I need my barrel facing to that left side of the field. If my barrel is in front of my hands, my barrel is pointing to the right side of the field, and that's the way that ball is going to go. So at contact, my barrel is on top of the ball, my hands are slightly in front of my barrel. After contact, my barrel is going to go straight down, and I want to point to the dirt more on the right side of the plate. If I'm getting to contact, great, but my hands are ripping this way in the direction towards first base, that ball is going to go that way. So we got to make sure after contact, barrel's going down, I'm still staying closed, I'm pointing to the dirt down at the ground, and then I'm going to be taking a step with my right foot, and I really want to make sure that I am staying on a straight line. Another common thing that slappers get in trouble with is they'll get to contact. As they're getting to extension, they are already running to first base because we're trying to get that advantage. We need to make sure that we're staying straight until extension, and then we can peel out to first base. If you're peeling out too soon, pitchers recognize that, and they're going to be pitching you away because your barrel is not going to be able to cover the plate. I will say pitchers usually pitch slappers out, so they're working away, but that doesn't mean they're not going to come in on you. If they come in on you, you just have to make sure that you're catching the ball out front and you're turning on it. So here's a quick summary on how to slap. Start out more in the back of the box. When the pitcher goes back, or when she's right here, you want to start to load. When the pitcher is up around this area, about to come down and around, depending on her speed, if she's a little bit slower, you might start a little bit later. But when she's about right here, about to come down and around, you want to go ahead and take that step. I prefer to take this small step in with my front foot. After I take my step, I'm going to cross over, and I'm going to make sure that my left foot is by that line. When my left foot is down, my toes are facing to the left side of the field along with my chest and my hips. With that, my hands are back and I'm in a good hitting position. From here, I am taking my knob to the ball. My barrel is going to enter. I'm going on one foot. At contact, I'm making contact on top of the ball. My hands are slightly in front of the barrel. After contact, my barrel is going straight down to the ground, and then I'm going to be making sure I'm taking a step with my right foot straight. Remember, when you are doing this, it should be all one motion. We shouldn't be walking through the box, but we also shouldn't be sprinting.